There's a hidden financial system so powerful that it has silently controlled global wealth, shaped economies, influenced wars, and decided which nations rise and which ones fall. And right now, that same system is starting to crack in a way that could change the future of money and power forever, in ways most people are completely unprepared to face. What makes this moment even more dangerous is not just what is happening, but how quietly it is happening. Because while the world is distracted by headlines, conflicts, and political drama, the real shift is unfolding behind closed doors inside central banks, oil deals, and currency agreements that are slowly rewriting the rules of the global economy. And here's the part that should truly shock you, because this is not some theory or internet speculation. This is being acknowledged by major institutions, governments, and financial systems themselves. Yet almost no one is connecting the dots to understand how big this shift really is and how deeply it could impact your daily life. Before we go any further, I need to say something directly to you because I spent hours researching, analyzing global trends, collecting real data, and breaking down complex systems just to bring you this level of deep insight. Yet many of you watch without even liking the video, without subscribing, without sharing. Even though I reply to your comments and stay connected with you, and honestly, it feels disappointing, so I genuinely request you to support the channel Market Mindset, and also follow the backup channel Market Mindset 2, because your support is the only thing that keeps this level of powerful content alive and growing. And if you truly value this kind of analysis, then show it through your actions right now. Now, to understand what is really happening, you need to go back more than 50 years. Because today's crisis did not start today. It started with a decision that completely changed the foundation of the global financial system in a way that still controls your life without you even realizing it. In 1971, when the United States ended the gold standard, the world entered a moment of uncertainty so intense that it forced governments to question what actually gives money its value when it is no longer backed by something real like gold. For a brief moment, the entire system stood on the edge of instability. Because if the dollar was no longer backed by gold, then why should the world trust it at all? And what would replace it if that trust disappeared? But then something happened that most people have never been told about. A quiet deal that would go on to control the global economy for decades without ever becoming a mainstream headline. In 1974, a powerful agreement was made between the United States and Saudi Arabia. And that agreement ensured that oil, the most critical resource in the modern world, would be priced only in US dollars. And this is where everything changed, because from that moment onward, every country that needed oil, which means every major economy, was forced to use US dollars, creating constant global demand that never stopped. This meant that no matter what was happening inside the American economy, the world still needed dollars, giving the United States a level of financial power that had never been seen before in history. But the system was even more powerful than that, because the dollars earned by oil-producing countries did not just stay with them, they were reinvested into U.S. Treasury bonds, sending the money right back into the American financial system. This created a cycle so strong that it allowed the United States to borrow cheaply, spend massively, and maintain global dominance without facing the same limitations as other countries. For more than 50 years, this system remained stable, almost unchallenged, acting as the invisible engine behind global economic power. Most people believed it would continue forever. But now, for the first time, that system is under real pressure and the cracks are starting to become visible. To understand where the pressure is coming from, you need to look at one of the most critical locations on the planet, a narrow waterway that controls a huge portion of global energy supply. The Strait of Hormuz is responsible for carrying nearly 20% of the world's oil every single day, making it one of the most important strategic points on Earth. Now imagine what happens when tensions rise in that region, because it does not need to fully close to create chaos, it only needs to become uncertain. And that uncertainty is exactly what is happening right now, as tensions involving the United States and Iran continue to rise, creating fear in global markets. Shipping costs are increasing, insurance prices are rising, and energy markets are already reacting to the risk of disruption. But here is where the situation becomes even more serious, because the real issue is not just about oil flow, it is about the currency behind that oil. Because for decades, oil has been traded in US dollars, but now that dominance is being challenged. China has been working quietly for years to build an alternative system, encouraging countries to trade energy in yuan instead of dollars, offering incentives, investments, and strategic partnerships. And in 2023, a major moment happened when an energy trade was completed using yuan, showing that the system is already starting to shift. This may seem small on the surface, but in reality, it is a massive signal because it proves that countries now have an alternative option. And when alternatives exist, dependency begins to weaken. At the same time, central banks around the world are buying gold at record levels, something that has not been seen in decades. Countries are increasing reserves, moving assets, and preparing for a future where the current system may not remain dominant. This is not random behavior, this is strategic positioning, and when multiple countries start making similar moves, it signals a deeper global shift. Another major change is happening in US Treasury demand, where countries that once heavily invested are now slowly reducing their holdings. This creates a serious challenge, because if demand decreases, the United States must either raise interest rates or increase money supply. Higher interest rates make borrowing expensive, while printing money leads to inflation, and both outcomes directly affect everyday people. This means higher living costs, more expensive loans, and increased financial pressure across the economy. Now here's the truth that most people are not ready to hear. This is not a sudden collapse. This is a slow transformation, a gradual shift toward a new global financial system. History has shown that these transitions take time, often happening quietly until they reach a tipping point. The British pound once dominated the world, but its decline happened slowly over decades, not overnight. And by the time people realized it, the shift had already happened. What we are witnessing right now could be the early stages of a similar transformation, but on a much larger scale. Because this time, it is not just one currency replacing another, it is the rise of a multipolar system where multiple currencies compete for power. And that changes everything, from global trade to economic stability to political influence. So now I want to hear from you, because your opinion matters in this discussion. Do you believe the US dollar will remain dominant? Or are we already witnessing the beginning of a major shift in global power? And if you were in control, what steps would you take to prepare for this change? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because I read them all and reply to as many as possible. If you found this valuable, make sure to like the video, share it with others, and subscribe to Market Mindset, and also follow Market Mindset 2 so you never miss these powerful insights.